Yeah, Smart Sheffield news. Right. I'm going to move the cursor out of the way myself this time. Um, uh, so it's been a year since we had a Smart Sheffield event, and there's a lot of things have happened, and I'm not going to tell you about all of those things, right? I'm going to tell you about things that I've noticed that I thought were interesting over the last 2 months or so, kind of since I announced that I was going to be doing this. And they're not all directly smart city related, but they're related to our city. And, you know, they're things that I think we, as smart city practitioners or people that think about how technology is impacting the city, should be aware of. Or it's a subset of what we should be aware of. And by no means is this comprehensive. But anyway, the first thing is that it was the mayoral elections. Oliver Coppard is our new mayor for South Yorkshire. Head over to olivercoppard.co.uk to read his plan. He has a section called My Plan. He has 10 points in his plan. So if you want to get an idea of kind of where governance in this part of the world is heading and what kind of things are important, go and see what Oliver Coppard is trying to do during his tenure as South Yorkshire Mayor. It was also the council elections, and for the first time ever, as far as I'm aware, the first time anywhere in the country, there was an online platform where you could discover who your councillor is. So if you go to whoismycouncillor.co.uk, this has been set up by some people in Sheffield. I'm not even sure who's done this, but yeah, you can go and type in your postcode and find out which ward you're in and who your councillors are, and they're interviewing every councillor to understand what they're about, where they're coming from, what kind of a person they are. And you can go and read all of those interviews there as well. So that's pretty cool. Nice bit of, you know, smart democracy. It's our city. Last time we were here, I was talking about this. This was the campaign to start to referendum, to force a referendum in Sheffield to decide whether to move towards a modern committee system of making decisions at Sheffield, at the council. And the referendum won, and this is now in effect. So as of, I think, the 1st of April, the council is now must make decisions in open committee settings that are more transparent and that more parties are involved in, not just the party that's currently in, you know, most representative in the council. Our city centre, obviously there's a huge amount of building work and redevelopment going on across the city, but especially in the city centre. And Sheffield City Council have created an Our City Centre-shuf.com website, which is an ongoing consultation about the changes to the city centre and information about what's changing and what's happening. So there's a pretty good information site there about what's going on in the heart of the city, what's going on with Fargate and the Future High Streets Fund that they received last year, etc. On which point the plan, HLM Architects, I think, have done this. The full plan for the Event Central on Fargate is now on the council's planning platform, so you can go and download the PDF that shows you in quite a lot of detail what they're planning for that building. Okay, that Event Central is the cornerstone of the Fargate development, and it's a big events and co-working and creative industries hub. It's essentially what Vanessa Tillman wanted to do with Castle House before the guys at Collider got the contract to develop Castle House. So yeah, interesting. It's all in that document there. There's also this the hub that's is currently being constructed in Leeds. It's going to be transported down the motorway on the back of low loaders next month. I think it's going to be ready for July. There's a hub that's being built at the top of Fargate out of containers with units for independent shops and restaurants and a bar. I think 4 indies have already signed up to take units in the Fargate hub. I think they've got two more that are going to be let as well. So there's going to be this kind of futuristic container-based hub thing at the top of Fargate in the summer. Debos, the pre-app went through, got approved just last week, I think, and it looks, so this is just the pre-app. The developers who bought Debenhams are putting it up for auction. They've got a pre-application approved, which has increased its value, and the pre-app is for demolition and replacement with 2 mixed-use towers, so like a 22-storey and a 30-something storey tower. And it's the whole plot is up for auction next month at a guide price of 4.5 million, I think. So this could well be what happens to Debenhams. And planning was approved for Henderson's, another kind of iconic building in Sheffield. So Hendo's, the Hendo's factory by University of Sheffield, is going to be demolished and then rebuilt with the same bricks again, but not identically. All right, they're changing it. It's going to be like a bar and some kind of shrine to relish. But that's finally happening, right? This has been like, this has taken years. Okay, other things. So Rotherham City Council have earmarked a site for the Rotherham solar farm. This is a £1 million solar farm that's being built in Rotherham. It's finally, I don't think it's got planning, but I think they've at least allocated some land for it. They also, I don't know if anybody saw this, their smart bins lost comms last month, and so nobody knew they were full, and so their bins in Rotherham started overflowing everywhere, and everybody was complaining about it, and then, so I don't know if it's anything to do with Sigfox going bust, maybe, I don't know. No one will say, but that happened. I thought that was funny. And they also announced that they're getting public Wi-Fi, so a new public Wi-Fi contract is being let in Rotherham, so we'll see what they do there. Other things, AWRC, so Advanced Wellbeing Research Centre, they've just announced their latest cohort. So it's Health and Wellbeing Accelerator. They have 12 startups on their cohort now. I think 4 of them are local, and the other 8 are kind of international health and wellbeing startups. So lots of kind of smart city related stuff happening there. Felling was released. I don't know if anyone has seen it, right? So the documentary about Stag and the tree felling debacle in Sheffield a few years ago. It's a tedious documentary, but it does tell the story. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to get general release, but it was shown at the showroom for a week or so last month. I mean, as a Sheffielder, it's fascinating, obviously. I'm just not sure it's going to grip anyone anywhere else in the world. Anyway, backlashes. So you'd think that, after the whole tree fiasco, lessons would be learned. But I don't know if anybody's aware of Park Hill residents parking. So there's an issue with people parking above Park Hill. And causing congestion, and so some residents have complained along, basically just along one road. I can't remember which one it is. It's one that sort of runs parallel to the railway line. But instead of just implementing residents parking on that road, they've announced they're implementing it to the whole area, basically. And everybody hates it. They don't want residents parking in all of these other streets. And so there's been a big social media backlash against the council for suggesting this. Although, I mean, why they couldn't consult and talk to people about this. Again, of course, as soon as it gets close to being a decision, loads of people suddenly realize that the majority of people that it's going to affect have no idea that it's happening whatsoever. And a similar thing with Netheredge Active Neighbourhood, that whole plan, there's a lot of resistance against that plan for a bunch of different reasons, but it looks like the council are just saying, no, it's going ahead, we're doing it anyway. So watch this space, there could be another documentary in a few years' time. Sheffield Hallam announced last July that they were becoming a civic university, and they published a civic university agreement. So they have it's not accessible, because you've got to type in a giant domain name in order to find it. But if you search for it, Sheffield Hallam University Civic University Agreement, they've got a whole document explaining how the university is engaging with communities and all the things that they want to do. And they just last week, I think, published the first blog post about this. So there is actually an active blog detailing the initiatives, the projects, the things they're doing to invest, back into the local community. On top of their £220 million master plan that's completely redeveloping parts of the creative industries quarter and the knowledge gateway. Local heritage lists. So Sheffield City Council agreed the process for that citizens can add buildings to the National Local Heritage List, okay? So this is a national platform where you can nominate buildings to be of cultural value, all right? Things that aren't part of the normal heritage assessment or listing procedure. If there are places, parks, buildings that are of value to the community for whatever reason, the communities can nominate them on the local heritage list website. And you can go there and you can see other buildings and places that have been nominated in your area. And so this is, councils have to take this list into consideration in planning, okay? So it gives communities some power to preserve some of the places and buildings that are important to the community for all sorts of different reasons. You know, just obviously not architectural value, because those things are generally covered by listing. Okay, South Yorkshire Sustainability Centre. This has just been set up by the University of Sheffield and brings together a bunch of partners, including E.ON, for example, who run the biomass power station and their heat network. And they put a thing out not so long ago saying, basically, I think they organised a round table with a bunch of partners that are looking at sustainable energy and decarbonisation, and just listed the assets that Sheffield has, and it's a really impressive list. Sheffield has got some absolutely fantastic sustainability and carbon transition assets, including the 2 heat networks, which are in combination the most built out in the country. I think pretty much one of the most built out in Europe. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. There's a whole research centre around that. What else? Space for cycling. This was the campaign. Hundreds of cyclists rode into the centre of town last month to campaign for streets that are more suited to cars. There's an ongoing battle between cars and bikes in the city, as most people are kind of aware. So this was, raising awareness of it, and kind of, the guys that were here from Cycle Sheffield 2.5 years ago, talking about the things they were doing at Division Street. This was another campaign to try and to push the council to implement more cycle and pedestrian friendly spaces in the city and build out the active travel infrastructure, which, if you go back and look at Oliver Coppard's manifesto, is also a key kind of pillar of what he wants to do. On which note, South Yorkshire received enough money to get 27 buses, or to subsidise our bus franchisees with enough money for them to buy 27 electric drivetrain buses. Only 4 of them are going to be in Sheffield, though, partly because of the stipulation of the money that they had to be en route that supported the clean air zone. So it looks like we're only getting 4 EV buses with those funds. So it's generally good. Other parts of the country didn't get any money at all for this. Obviously, we didn't get any money at all for the big transport investment that we asked for, or that the region asked for, but we did get 27 EV buses. So. And finally, it's Sheffield Digital Festival Week. The theme of the festival is Our Future City. There's lots of events on, so go to the Digital Festival website if you haven't been already. The big thing to mention to you is Thursday is the main event. It's the half-day conference, and there's going to be lots of speakers, or several speakers, talking about city data and how to visualize it and how we can get more value from the data that's being collected and what we can do with it. I'm hosting a panel on this, but we've got some other speakers as well. It's a free event. It runs from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock and then networking afterwards. So if you're not doing anything on Thursday afternoon, come along or watch it online. I think it's being streamed. All right, that's it. Yes, that's what I just said. Things Network, there was a meeting beforehand. Keep an eye out for more Things Network things. That's the community-owned LoRaWAN network that exists in Sheffield. And join the mailing list, and let me know if there's any more news for next time. I really want to get these back to the one every 2 months if I can. So yeah, July and then another one in September, and we'll keep going like that. So keep an eye out for that, and let me know if there's anything that you think I should know about so that I can present it at Smart Sheffield News next time. And on that note, there's drinks and food outside. Thank you very much.